All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this beautiful Tuesday afternoon that we have. Do we have any questions on anything before we get started? Question, I'm listening. You must think I can't see. You must think I can't see.
The listening season and UCL with the topic, my name wasn't on it. But I had put it on the
You did?
But I didn't put my number on there.
And that's why your name, you didn't get
Okay,
the
I
paperwork.
tried to email you, but you
That
didn't.
don't mean nothing, it's not on that paperwork. Didn't we just have a conversation last Thursday? Yeah. Say yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, no, yes, we did, not just yes, yes, we did. But I still didn't do it.
But that was after the
And
fact.
I, no, wasn't.
This was, I did the paper when we first started class, then you said that like towards the end of class.
And it was still sitting on my land desk right here. So yes, it was.
I put it on there.
That's all you had to do, that's go ahead and sign it. But I highlight your name so I know who to send it to. No one else did not sign up, you go ahead and sign up. All right, last Thursday, we discussed chapter 2, talking about methods. What are some of the things we discussed in chapter 2? Reading the methods in sociology. I can't hear you.
The scientific method,
What is that?
it's like observing something to form,
Say that again, please.
observing something to form a theory.
Observing something to form a theory, to form a theory. Okay, other things we discussed. You can add something to that, keep missing something out of that definition. Go ahead.
But it's not the same one we went like.
Then you don't know it then. That's not doing you any good. Somebody else, other things we discussed, go ahead.
Research methods.
Which are what? Which are what? What's the research method? That's what your neighbor said. Can you say that? What else? What's the scientific method? See if you have something different from what she said.
I also have that there's quantitative and
Yeah,
qualitative.
scientific method. You going to the approach yourself. Go ahead, what you got?
Qualitative and quantitative.
What is those?
Quantitative is.
What are quantitative and qualitative?
Huh?
What are they? Quantitative and qualitative? Research what? I told you just a second ago. Research methods, because I told you messing with her when you said scientific, that was a method. Quantitative and qualitative, research what? Somebody help her out. Go ahead.
Quantitative, like.
No. Go ahead.
Data.
What you got back there? You raise your hand or stretch? Yes. Okay. There's no you. I was watching.
Sorry.
I'm not even looking down, but I was watching. Somebody tell me what quantitative and qualitative research was. Miss Aubrey, what you say your name?
Aubrey,
Miss Aubrey said scientific method was a research method. Qualitative and quantitative science are research what? Go ahead. No, you need to sign it back there. No, that's, I think you did this one last week. That's for case study. Quantitative and qualitative are what? The two research what? What you got, Brett? Hypothesis. You said hypothesis. What you got back there?
Quantitative seeds information.
Ms. Jones, go ahead. That's, let's see, come on, talk to me, man. That's a test question, I'm not gonna lie, I know that's a test question. You'll see that on Thursday.
What's the question again?
What are quantitative and qualitative research what?
Methods. Like, quantitative is.
Okay, look up above there. What's up above there?
Methods that are seek to obtain information about the social
What's
world
above there?
that is already in or can be converted to knowledge form.
What do they call it? Research what?
It's called.
I'm confused, now I'm looking for another word. What else we discussed? You're all right, so far. You're right. I was looking for another one.
Oh.
I know what the other two I was thinking about. What are they? Everybody said methods are correct. Don't forget that. You said methods, you are correct.
Inductive.
What is inductive? Inductive what?
Representing empirical observation.
Okay. What else? You said inductive, right?
Inductive.
Badger said inductive. What else we have? What else did we discuss? What you got in the rear? Inductive approach. What is that?
We start with a theory, we build your hypothesis.
That's why I got confused. I was looking for the two types of research approaches. I was saying the methods, I had approaches in my mind. So inductive and deductive are the two types of research approaches. We were talking about the methods. Quantitative, qualitative, scientific. One other thing we discussed last Thursday. About an hour, 45 minutes. What you got?
Dependent and independent variable.
What are those?
The dependent outcome researchers are trying to explain. Factor researchers.
Hard question now. What did we talk about last Tuesday? Last Tuesday. A week from today. A week ago today, excuse me. What is that? Study society of who? Who's right? Study society, you said something after that. Okay. Other things, chapter 1. Go ahead.
Talk about like social institutions.
Social institutions, give me an example of one.
School.
Okay. Other things, chapter 1. 2 so far. Other things in chapter 1. Go ahead.
We talk about social identity,
What is social identity?
why individuals that define themselves in groups.
Okay. 2 other things we discussed in chapter 1. No, somebody else, other than those 3 that already spoken. And those 4 that spoke in chapter 2. 2 other things, well, 5 spoke in chapter 2. 2 other things we discussed in chapter 1. One.
Double consciousness.
Double who?
Double consciousness.
How you move, man? You thought I was gonna ask you what's her name again?
I know
What's double, what is double consciousness?
Consciousness is a term coined by W.E. Du Bois to describe how African American people two different ways of thinking depending on who they're interacting.
Yeah, we have 2 ways of thinking.
Behavioral traits.
One other thing. Chapter 1. Another thing on chapter 1. Don't know what's in chapter 1. I know you don't know what's in chapter 3. One other thing, chapter 1. You already spoke, be quiet. Another thing, chapter 1. Ms. Hills, chapter 1. No, we already heard that question. You don't know anything else. Mr. Patel, chapter 1. You want to hear that there? All right. Ms. Madison, chapter 1.
We talked about what sociology was.
Yeah, we got that one 3 times already. I heard that one 3 times. What is it? Oh, you got to speak a little louder because I can't hear my right ear. I just told you I can't hear my right ear, and you went even lower than you were before. Now I can't hear my right ear. The connection between experiences. Give me an example. That's not sociological imagination there. I don't know, I'm asking you, but I know that's not what it is. I know that much. Who coined the term sociological imagination? Oh, that's another test question. I know that for example, for sure. Say what? Who coined the term sociological imagination? C. Wright Mills. So let's talk about chapter 3, talking about culture and media. Culture and media. What is culture? What is culture? What is not culture? That might be an even better question. What culture is not? It didn't tell you that in the textbook, did it? Yes, it did. What is culture then? What is culture? What is culture? Speak a little louder so they can hear you up front.
Culture is like customs that people been around or you grow up around are going through. So, this little area right here, they might have a culture that this area doesn't, and they do certain things differently than this.
All right. I'm going to agree with what he just stated. Raise your hand if you agree with him.
Well, I think there's more to it, but I didn't.
Okay, I'm going to try this in English now. Raise your hand if you agree with what he said. Raise your hand so I can count. Don't be bashful. I shot you either right or wrong, one of the two. 1, 2, 3. Stand up if you disagree with him, then, other than me. I know all hands didn't go up. So you either had to agree or disagree. Raise your hands again if you agree with him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, stand up if you disagree. Again, I didn't count all hands. How many people in here? 17? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18. Raise your hands high then. So can I count 18 hands? 1, 2. Put your foot in your hand. Put your foot in your hand. Do it, yeah. Put your foot in your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Ms. Ruiz Guzman, stand up. I can count to 20. Why you disagree with him?
Well, every time when you said agree.
How many hands did I just count? Somebody help me out. Somebody said 15? Okay, what did he say, Ms. Ruiz Guzman? You agree with him? You can have a seat. Okay, just tell me what he said. What is culture? That was the question. I don't have a clue, but you agree with him. He gave an excellent definition. Culture can be briefly defined as Ms. Badger was stating. See, I agree, but it's a little bit more than that. Culture, the sum of social social categories. Culture is the way you were brought up, where you live, where you believe in, your beliefs, your habits, your traits, things that make you who you are. Your culture today will not be the same culture as it is tomorrow. Man, you can put that camera up. They're looking at syllabus. You'll be getting a slip from the school saying academic dishonesty. Yes, sir. Because it said on the syllabus you cannot use cameras in this class. Culture. Culture includes things like the way you speak, the food you like to eat, the way you walk, the way you dress, the way you talk. Culture. Culture. Some things specific about your culture that you live in. Anyone, something specific about your culture. Or you think that makes your culture different from somebody else's culture. Dreads, okay. The food, okay. Others. Handshake, okay. The way you dress, who said that? Okay. The dialect, other things. Your culture is different from someone else's culture. Okay. Opposite now. What is something that make your culture and another culture similar? Something similar to someone else's culture also works in your culture. Religion, okay. Language, what'd you say over here? Pork. Who? Sports, okay. I thought you said pork. Others, some similarities with your culture and someone else's culture, another culture. Okay, that's a good one there. Way broad out there, but that's a good one. What's something similar in those traditions? I don't know, I'm asking you. Because I don't know which two cultures you're getting ready to combine. Go ahead. Body language and emotion interpretation. That's what you're going to say. What? That's what you're going to All right, the concept of culture has evolved. Again, it changes. Why it changes? Because life changes. What I did yesterday, I ain't gonna say yesterday. What I did 3 years ago, I probably don't do today. Probably not all of them. Some of them I know I still do. So the oldest understanding of culture is focused on the distinct two things: the natural environment and what is modified or can be created by humans. Because everything a human cannot create. If humans can do everything, we wouldn't have to worry about COVID right now. Humans can do everything, we wouldn't have to worry about cancer. Certain things humans just cannot do. Certain things humans cannot explain. So the natural environment and what is modified or created by humans. Those are the distinctions between two things when we talk about culture. Why do we need to explain culture when we talk about sociology? How so? Go back to your definition of sociology. What is sociology?
Sociology is
You were good. Keep going. Go ahead, help them out, Miss Kiej. Huh? Well, what that got to do with sociology? What was the definition of sociology? That one sentence on the board on last Tuesday. The study of what? The study of human society. Sociology, the study of human society. And what is culture? That wasn't no definition of culture. You'd be doing good till you try to add your little piece in there. If society, if sociology is a study of society, human society, and culture, we're talking about the humans within that society, so don't they go hand in hand? When? That make you act in a certain way. I ain't got nothing to do with that. My culture not gonna make me act in the same way if I'm just studying society. Sociology is what again?
But I thought like if you studying sociology, you would be studying.
Yeah, but you can't say, okay, studying sociology and studying culture is the same identical thing.
No, you said they go hand in hand.
Yes,
Two separate things go hand
that's what you're saying? Okay. Stick to that. You won't be wrong on the test, but stick to that. So Europeans, they were the first one came over here in America. They set up most of our beliefs. As time evolved, we changed our beliefs and our norms. Why did we change our norms and our beliefs? Because most Europeans, they faded away. Either went back to Europe or Americans or whomever was over here at that time frame took over. So we started adopting their habits, their beliefs, their norms. As a child, you probably had certain beliefs and norms that your parents instilled in you or your guardians instilled in you, and some of them you still hang on to, others you didn't let go. I know every time I get ready to do something wrong, to this day, I think about my grandfather and my mother. What would they say if they catch me doing wrong? That's just something they instilled in me. So my beliefs and my norms, some of ours are the same, some of them are different. Some of them similar, but they're still different. In the 18th and 19th century, new dimensions was added to the concept of culture. The idea that culture involved the pursuit of intellectual refinement. Intellectual refinement, we learning more, so we do more. About 15, I'm gonna say 15 years ago. Probably about 15 years ago, you would have had paper in there they're writing everything. You've been turning all your assignments in on hard paper. That's not even 15, that's probably about 10 years ago. We try to do things smarter and not harder. So that's how our culture is evolving. Ethnocentrism. You're under the belief that your culture is dominant than any other culture. Why would your culture be dominant than any other culture? Why would we believe something like that?
Because we are ignorant.
Okay, that's one way of looking at it. I agree with that. That's one way of looking at it. I wouldn't have said that, but that's one way of looking at it. Go ahead. Okay, that's another way of looking at it. Others. Two excellent answers so far. One ignorant, one think we're in competition. Others. Why would you believe that your culture is better than any other culture? Anybody here is half of a twin? Huh? No, what'd you just say? She said she just had a twin. What did she say? I said, anybody here half of a twin? You in competition. I see that now. What friends of a twin and half of a twin got to do with anything? It is. Okay. What is she talking about over there? Male or female? Do you think you're better than him or her? Why? Why? Okay. That's what ethnocentrism is. That's what that boiled down to. I believe I'm the best. My twin, I think I'm better than he is. My culture, I think my culture better than anybody else's culture in here. If I don't think that, something's wrong with me. Why shouldn't I think I'm the best? Some people might prove me wrong, but I'm always believe that I'm the best. And that's what we do about our culture. I didn't say your race, I said culture. You believe what the people you hang around or wherever you live, the things you do are better than anybody else. And if it's not better, you're trying to make it better. But you always want, I don't know nobody that don't want to be the best. They might act like, oh, I just settle for this. I'll settle for an F. I'll settle for a D. But as soon as you give them that, they be, man, why couldn't I get that C? Why didn't I get that B, that A? Because we always want the best, especially the United States of America. We definitely think we got to be number one in everything. I don't care what we're doing, we got to be number one. Ethnocentrism. You believe your culture is better than any other culture. When Olympics coming up next month, we think we're supposed to win every gold medal. They keep up with the gold medal counts. Bam, 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 bam. Olympics not what they used to be. Nobody care about the Olympics anymore because everybody cheat. Yeah, they were cheating back then too. But they cheat worse today. Back then they didn't get caught. That's why you don't cheat. If you ain't getting caught, you ain't cheating. That's why they're getting caught. Material versus non-material culture. Material, anything that you can place your hands on. Material culture, anything that you can place your hands on. A person, a desk, a vehicle, your loved one. Anything that you can place your hands on is material culture. So material culture is anything you can place your hands on. Non-material got to be what? Anything that you can't place your hands on. That's one example. Anything you cannot place your hands on. Those are non-material cultures. And two people said at the same time, thoughts. What else? Beliefs, values. Who? Okay, I say, oh, I can read that too now. What's some other things that's non-materialistic? But it's a culture, non-material cultures. Morals. Who said that? Good one. Traditions. Some traditions are materialistic too, though, such as hugging your loved one. That's a physical, but you can't touch the love that I have for that person. Material and non-material culture. Material and non-material culture. Material culture is anything that is a part of our constructed environment, such as books, fashions, and monuments. That's a good definition. Material culture, our culture again, everything that is part of our constructed environment, such as books, fashion, and monuments. If that is our culture of the United States of America, why are we trying to do away with these Confederate monuments? Why are we moving them, taking them down? Are the stories coming out of the textbooks? They're still remaining in the textbook, so what difference does it make if I take this statue down and we still talk about it in this classroom? Is that changing anything? Just a facade, making America, making some people believe, okay, they moved the statue, they moved the monument. I feel better now because that Confederate monument is no longer there. Whoop-de-doo. Still talking about it in the schoolhouse, so what did that change? That is our culture. We can't change history. It's going to always be what it was.
Well, I think we should talk about it, but we shouldn't have erected monuments of it like it's a celebration. I mean, we should own up to the fact that, we have a sorry history.
Okay, let's lay Augusta, downtown Augusta. Got Confederate monuments that they want to move. Downtown Augusta got a statue of James Brown on it. What if I don't like James Brown? Well, I didn't get off into James Brown. Should we take that down too? Why not? We taking down the Confederate monuments. The- it wasn't his music. I didn't believe in what he's talked about. Yeah, go ahead. What? What about the connotation? Well, James Brown connotation not negative. He spoke, I'm black and I'm proud. What's the difference? For whom? Who's the negative connotation for? For a black person, it might not be. If I'm a white person, why can't I say I'm white and I'm proud? How is that positive? That's the same thing. It's the same identical thing. Now, why is it not? I'm serious. Why is that not the same thing? Yes. 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 Because the history that took place back then is history. We can't change history. Okay. Okay. How many, coming up in grade school, probably still today, when you hear the national anthem, you put your hand across your heart? Why you don't do that? Why you don't do that? Why you don't do that? You don't say you pledge allegiance to the flag? Why? What's wrong with that? No, but why not say you pledge allegiance to the flag? Don't tell me that, because that ain't gonna do a good thing for both of y'all. But see, our culture, we're trying to change history. We can't change history.
Maybe we're just trying to make a better future.
How so? Say a lot of racism took place back then. It's taking place today too.
It's still worse. I feel like
You don't see or experience that often, but it's still the worst. It's just in a place right now, we don't really pay attention to it, but it's happening way more than you could imagine.
I feel like he's more out here now.
Well,
Yeah, back then,
hold on a minute. What's more out there now than it used to be?
like you can see it. It's like you see it. Like,
It was way worse back then,
Well, let me ask you, how do you know it's worse today than it was yesterday?
well, yeah.
No, it's serious. Your opinion.
I don't know that, but I'm saying like, I'm not saying it's way worse. I'm saying like, back then, like, we know about it because of what people told us. You get what I'm saying? Now, it's like we can see it for
Experience
ourselves.
it
Like,
for yourself.
yeah.
Well, you couldn't see it back then because you wasn't around back then. What you expect? Thank you. So what's different does it make?
But now.
You saw those monuments. They didn't do nothing. They was around back then. Okay.
I think as culture changes, you know, we also
You're right.
change
You're right.
monuments that we have erected.
You're right. Culture changes, but history don't.
Right.
Go ahead. What you got? Yeah, history don't change.
So basically, history don't change. So that means if you take down Confederate statue, the history still gonna be the same. They don't got nothing to do with the statue. That just, the statue has a negative connotation, therefore they take it down. That's why they take it down.
You can't change it, but you can still take it down. Like you gotta promote it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Having them up. That's like those were treasonous.
That's what it was.
That's literally what it was.
Okay.
Look at the definition of treasonous.
I don't need to look it up. How many of you in there vote? How many of you vote? Vote. VOTE. I ain't say nothing about vote. You ain't old enough. See, most people that complain don't vote. That's just a true fact. Most people that complain don't vote. So how can your voice be heard if you don't vote? You were old enough last year. You about 28 now. Was I talking to her? Was I talking to you though? I'm talking to you. You the one said you can't vote at 17, didn't you? You know how old she is? That don't mean nothing. My birthday just passed too. That don't make me 18 now. Go back to your twins that you best friends with. Oh, huh? Can't do that if she ain't registered. Okay. I didn't say you weren't. I said you couldn't if you're not registered. Material versus non-material culture. We talked about that enough already. Non-material culture can be taken from as a form of ideology. Cultural lag is a time gap. That's where you're at right now. A time gap between the appearance of new technology and the words and the practices that gives its meaning. We're stuck in a cultural lag right now. Cultural lag. The time gap between the appearance of new technology and the words and practices that gives its meaning. Reason we're stuck in a cultural lag because technology is changing so rapidly right now. By the time you take something home, they already got a new form out already. By the time I figured this little gadget out, here comes the new one. Can never keep up with them. Material versus non-material culture. All right, culture shock. Look at the definition, you tell you what it is. Culture shock is a doubt, confusion, and anxiety arising from immersion in an unfamiliar culture. If we go somewhere we know we're not familiar with and get stuck that night, most of us get scared. We go somewhere where there's more highly intellect than what we are, we try to keep our mouth closed because we can't relate to that conversation. We're being a culture shock. Go to a country where we've never been before. Go to anywhere we've never been before. You see the shock in our eyes when you look at it. Like, ask us a question. Code switching is the ability to flip fluidly between two or more languages. Those people that's bilingual, trilingual, yet to figure out how y'all do that. I ain't gonna lie to you. Be speaking Spanish and the next minute you're speaking English and go right back into Spanish. I can't keep up with you. I'm impressed. Don't get me wrong. You got to be intelligent to do that because you're interpreting one language and speaking another one at the same time. That's when I hear interpreters, when I'm watching sports and I hear that interpreter come out there and speak for that play, I don't believe nothing they tell you. I really know. I said, fool, I probably ain't even said that. Code switching, the ability to flip fluently between two or more languages or a set of cultural norms to fit different cultural contexts. That's where those social identities come in at. We'll flip in a minute. If we're hanging around somebody else come around and we think they're more popular, we'll move over there very quickly. Say it. Say it. No. That's why I didn't play it. No. The only group I was with were teams, played sports. I don't believe in groups. Individual. Huh? We who? Society. We. Society tend to do those things. Ruth Benedict coined the term cultural relativism. Decided we should recognize differences across cultures. Sometimes it's hard to recognize the difference across a culture if I'm not familiar with that culture. It's hard to recognize the difference between a culture if I don't know anything about that culture. Example, Japan. Japan, a young person never look an elderly person in the face. That's disrespectful. You're always looking down. You don't look them out, and that's hard to do because they're shorter than most of us. But you don't look them directly in the face.
One of my best friends, he's from Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was talking to somebody and they was like, "Oh, I met him before. You talking about the Indian boy?" I was like, "Who?"
Pakistani, but they call them Indian. That's because they don't know nothing. Cultural scripts, modes of behavior, to understanding how other things operate, different from the way we do things. Trying to understand how they do the things the way they do it. Cultural scripts, modes of behavior, and understanding that are not universal or natural, but that they strongly shape beliefs or concepts held by society. One a good one for that, if they don't have it for all the languages, but most people that come to a high school that don't speak English, they have what they call, what the heck they call that thing, secondary language. Yeah, ESL, English as a secondary language. But they can't do it with all the students that have a second language that don't speak English, because we don't have interpreters that can help you out with that. And that's a sorriness, in my opinion. If you get a Japanese person come to school, you need to go find an interpreter to help that person out. What language Haitians speak? So they'll probably just get you a French person in the class that says y'all. Yeah, I know.
I got a homeboy that's a Zoe.
Got who?
A Zoe.
Yeah, but. All right, subcultures. Just what they mean, subcultures, they beneath. They're cultures within a culture. Subcultures are cultures within a culture. Subcultures are a group united by a set of concepts, values, traits, and our behavior patterns that distinguish it from other within the same culture or society. Give me an example of a subculture other than the golf that's up there. Give me an example of a subculture. Who? What is that? I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Hey, we don't.
You said
One who?
Emo is like the same thing as goth, but goth is more, emo is more heavily toned down, I guess. I don't know exactly.
Okay. I've never heard that term before.
Like the way you dye your hair and what you wear and just like you hang out with people who
It's like metal music,
Street.
like rock star music. Yeah. Something like that.
Okay.
Well, when you think of rock people, like rock music, I mean, it's not necessarily emo. Emo is more like I'm depressed all the time. Stuff
Oh,
like
have
that.
mercy.
I know people at high school be like dressed heavy, dark
Heavy
clothing,
metal is
rolling around
more
like.
of, you know, the way I was put it was like really just screw the world, I really don't care. Whereas emo is like, I'm depressed because the way I am. That's how I was told. That's how it was.
I was a good example, but I don't know nothing about it, so I can't say good examples on that. I'll have to do my research first. Country what? No, I don't know. Don't tell me I know, because I don't know. Well, you just said country. That could be another country in the, over somewhere else. No, I did not. Because of subculture. Y'all speak the same language. Say the foreigners.
You want the animals,
No, I said trailer.
your cows, your horses, you know? You don't got
Okay.
to be.
We gonna move on.
People got houses.
So you have big houses in a big yard, like, all
They have everything in there, like,
You know, in the country, though, they be having trailers lined up, and they own all the
that horses everywhere.
Okay, let's talk about values and norms, not the country and them trailers and horses and all those other things. Values are moral beliefs. Values are instilled in us. Values are instilled in us. Norms are the ways that we carry out our values. The norms are the way that we carry out our values. Our values will be with us forever. We might not believe in them forever, but you're going to think about them every time you're ready to do something, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. Those values are with you forever. Socialization is the process by which a person internalizes the values, beliefs, and norms of that society, that is. Because you got different values, beliefs, and norms with different cultures that you're within. The average gentleman, not the average male, but the average gentleman, they'll open up a door for a female. The average gentleman, you ain't gonna find too many no more. Say again? No, what'd you say? What'd you say? I'm saying. Yeah. The reason you're not because females don't care for that no more. The average female want a thug now. So the guy, oh, she said, yeah. It's hard, you know, guys that they don't know whether should I open the door up for them or shouldn't I? That's where the feminist movement came in at though. So the feminist movement started saying, well, we can do for our own. And how did the males react? Well, open the door for yourself and you can do it for on your own.
I think everybody should hold the door open for each other. Women should hold the door open for men. Men should hold the door open for women.
That's your value and your norm. Don't open no door for me though. Don't do that to me, because I'm gonna go to the other one. Reflection theory states that culture is a projection of our social structures. Reflection theory, again, this is not proven because it's a theory. Reflection theory states that culture is a projection of social structures in relationship to a public sphere. Reflection theory. Marx's version of the reflection theory argues that culture objects reflect the material labor and production relationships that went into making them. In other words, whatever you did to make this happen. That's what Marx's field reflection theory is. We all do something to make that whatever we want to happen. Some of us try to write it down so we remember how to do it again, like baking a cake. Everybody but Miss Hill don't bake. She can cook, but she can't bake. I yet to figure that one out. Yeah. Eat chocolate chip cookies all day long.
Don't worry about it.
Oh.
How you know? You just you me. I can't cook like a whole meal for everybody. You know, I can make me something. Just for myself to survive.
Well, baby,
Do you want to survive? Or you want to?
All right, looking at the media today, 2022. Media just don't do no wrong because a camera on you at all times. That's an easy way to put it. There's a camera on you at all times. Right now, this camera right here is recording this session. I think it's this one, either this one or that one, probably that one. That's the one recording this session because it's pointing this direction. There's a camera on you at all times. Media formats are vehicles that carry, present, present, or communicate information, including books, posters, web pages, clay tablets, and radio. Media is always on us. Look at the news. You can look at the news 50 times a day, and you see probably the same thing on every channel now. Before, you can turn to a different channel and see something different about going on in the news. All I'm trying to give you the top story at the beginning of the news. After the first 5 minutes, ain't no need to watching the news. That's true too. If you're watching some political channel, you get something different. If you're watching your local news, all three stations, 4 stations, gonna tell you the same identical news. Term mass media refers to any form of media that reaches the mass of the people. Hegemony. Hegemony refers to the impact of media or culture. Hegemony is the mother of all media. Hegemony is the mother of all not just social media, but all media. Hegemony refers to the impact of media on culture and how people in society shape and are shaped by the dominant culture. You know, we know that the cameras on us at all times. Why we still do stupid stuff? No, we ain't gonna get caught. We already caught. Camera at all times watching us. All right, media. Media opens a path of investigation. Something we already talked about. Media, any type thing, media, anything where you can get information from. Textbook, newspaper, not too many newspapers out anymore. Magazines, not too many magazines out anymore. Just about everything electronic these days. Very few things are materialistic that we can put our hands on. I'm not worried about that. Media effect can place into 4 categories: short-term, long-term, unintended, and intended. A lot of times we do things just so the media can be on us. We try to bring attention to us because we're trying to make a difference. And we'll talk about that when we talk in chapter 18. We need the media on us so we can try to make a difference. The difference might be good, bad, or indifference. All depends on what your goal is for that media being on you. But you know, it's always odd when we want to say, I'm saying we, I'm talking about politics or law enforcement. When they want us to know something, they'll call the media. They call a news conference. But when they don't want us to know it, they try to get all those cameras from out of here. That's when I feel like you're hiding something there. Always be transparent. You don't have nothing to worry about. Because I said so. The things that I say in here. What you fail to realize when you take pictures, you're supposed to get everybody's consent. Oh, yes. No. Anytime you take a photo, you have to have the consent of every individual, even with the news channels. They must have consent before they can put anything out there in public. If not, they get sued. Intentional or unintentional is subtly or overlay. The media can create or reinforce ethnic, racial, gender, religion, and other stereotypes. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. If I die, then I'll still be alive. If is a small 2-letter word, but carries a lot of weight. No. You should, but you're saying have to. There's a difference. Media ownership. There's 6 major companies that own all the media in the United States of America. 6 major companies that own all the media in the United States of America. And you can tell now, if you look at television, you see all these streaming stations out there. You look at the owner, you'll see they're the same owner of the lower companies. Like Peacock. Peacock is NBC is owned by Peacock. That's the emblem. What is it for CBS? Paramount? Not Paramount. There's a Paramount. Might be Paramount. One of them two, but all these streaming areas, somebody else have them, somebody else is the owner of them. And that's falling those 6 companies that own all the media right in the United States of America. I think what's Rupert's name? Rupert Murdoch, from England. He owns just about all the media outlets in America. Fox and everything associated with Fox, Rupert Murdoch owned that. He used to own the Los Angeles Dodgers. All right, globalization. Big thing going on in the world today. You know, everything got to be globalized. For the most part of it in America, all our stuff is China, if you want to call that globalized. Everything we get does about come from China. Soft power. Soft power has effects of culture, value, and ideas about the behavior of others. It's not going to bring too much harm to you. Soft power will not bring too much harm to you. It can hurt you in other ways, but it's not going to really hurt you where you can tell the difference. Soft power has effects on cultures, values, and ideas about the behavior of others. Has experienced a drop in popularity recently because of some American foreign policies. And what's bad about those foreign policies, every time we get a new president, they try to change them. And by the time they get changed, another president sitting in the seat, and he or she trying to change them. Culture jamming. Culture jamming. You're trying to get one outlet to turn against another outlet, talking about media. ESPN probably got more channels than any other sports outlet. So they're trying to get TBS to get you stop from watching basketball on TBS and come look at it over on ESPN. So they're going to say something negative about TBS and TNT since both of them are owned by the same company and make them start fighting among one another and everybody else turn their attention to another channel. Fox and who? MSN, okay. Fox and MSNBC. I'm trying to get this media outlet to turn and fight against this one so I can get all the business over here. Same thing when you're trying to run in for a political office. I'm gonna say something negative about this candidate, but I'm gonna say that candidate, the one that said it. So now those two candidates arguing while I'm getting all the votes now. Questions pertaining to chapter 3, culture and the media. Questions pertaining to chapter 3, culture and media.
So how can you have,
You talk real loud.
how can that not affect you negatively? Like,
How so? Because we in America, let's say this a nice way. We in America let some people come into America, but not everybody. Some people would kick out. Just as soon as they cross that border, we pushing them back. That's soft power. Why? Because we got some kind of agreement with those other countries. Some with our trade embargo, we got soft power with Canada. Then some place like Russia can't bring nothing over here. We don't trade with Russia at all. So that's not soft power for them. That's hard. That's hard power. Hard, H-A-R-D. Some of this stuff is still sitting out in the middle of the ocean because we would not let them come in our waters. They can't fly in our airspace because they don't have the relationship with the United States of America. Other countries can fly freely. They just have to let us know in advance because we always got a missile sitting out there waiting to pop you. And that's why when we got bombed on 9/11, could nobody believe it. Who came over here and do it? Did nobody come over here? They was already here. And we trained the people how to fly. That's how we let loose our guards. Other questions? Questions concerning chapter 2? Chapter 1. Thursday, you take your first quiz in this class, chapters 1 through 3. That quiz will open up at 4:30 p.m. That quiz will close at 5:45 p.m. You got 3 opportunities to take. Well, you can take the quiz 3 different times. I ain't gonna say you got 3 opportunities. You got 3 different times you can take the quiz. The highest score you make is the one that will automatically be pushed to the grade book. You make a 95, and the next one you make an 82. That 95 sits at the grade book. The third go around, you make 100, then the 100 will sit at the grade book. Automatically sits there. I don't know. Yeah. Now, some of you are going to get your questions marked wrong. Don't email me and tell me, hey, Mr. Brown, that I marked that right and it said it wrong. I go back and check every test. As I told you, I think last week and the week before last, if it take points from you, you should receive them. I'll give you those points. If you got points that you shouldn't receive, you keep those points.
so the quiz is gonna be open from 3 to 4 Thursday?
Lord have mercy.
So don't come to class.
No, No. Test is online. The only time you come in class to take a test will be your midterm and your final. Other than that, I'll see you next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we'll be going over chapter 4.